Welcome to a new video. Today I'm actually going to do something new that I haven't done before, and that is talking about top cards in my opinion, or interesting cards that you should consider picking out from a new set. This is something that I haven't done before, although I don't really know why I did not do that before. Maybe it's because I didn't think about it, but I thought to myself, you know what, let's throw my hat into the ring and actually just maybe tell you what do I think about Darkwing Blast and what should you maybe consider picking up, because there are some really cool cards in this set, and it's actually a lot more powerful than I thought initially. Like, I thought it's really strong, I just didn't really thought it's almost Power of the Elements, if also even just passing it by a little bit. It's like on that a little bit of a bridge of almost passing it or also being the same. But anyway, before we jump right into the video itself, if you want to see more videos like this, do the normal, subscribe things, give a like to the video, subscribe to the channel. It just helps a lot and motivated me to create more videos like this, and essentially also things of that nature. With that out of the way, let's jump right into the video itself. So first things first, let's talk about the cards that I actually mostly interested in. Actually, the card that I'm mostly interested in. It's actually Sprite Sprined. This particular card, while initially doesn't really look like, what do I want to do with it in anything but sprites, or maybe Tri-Brigade sprites, it's actually have a lot of potential. This particular card, this entire initial thing that you want to care about is the fact that on Link Summon, it's able to Foolish Burial a level 2 monster from your deck. This card is good. In many strategies that I thought about, specifically for me as well, not only because of, sprites, but just in general. Think about it for a second. This is a card that sends Plague Spreader Zombie to your graveyard in a zombie deck. This is a card that can also do some pretty interesting things. For example, I'm thinking about Vendreds because I like Vendreds. You can send the Vendreds Strigus from your deck to the graveyard. I believe that's the name of the crow. And you send it to the graveyard and it special summons itself back when you reveal the Vendred. Like, there's so many cool little things that you can actually do with this card, which essentially just maybe allowing you to just continue some particular combos of things nature or things that you're able to do. So this particular card, just really easy to summon, great card, and I think just in general, I just like it. I don't really know what to say about it. It just is a card that I really like, and it's a card that I kind of wanted to talk about more than others because the cards I'm mostly interested in. But there's still great cards here that I also maybe want to pick up, and one of these is actually mostly an engine, and that is the Bestial engine. This particular engine is just mostly really good. This is level 6 dragon monsters that works with the idea of banishing lights and darks from either graveyard, and if your opponent controls a monster, it's basically quick play, so their own DD Crows for light and dark monsters, which is really insane. All of them have a 2500, 2000 defense, and 2500 attack, of course, and they're all just really good. Now, of course, they're also the Lubellion, which is your additional breaching gap for level 8, but even if you don't run the Rebellion and you just run those cards, they're just really good cards as their own hand traps in general. And in my opinion, as an engine, this is basically what's going to pick up back again Dragon Link as an engine in general, because they're finally will be able to maybe do something again. Although they weren't really hurt for a very long time, but without, Haki Fibrex and Chaos Ruler, they're kind of a little bit dead in the water. So I do like this engine. It's just a DD Crow engine in general, and I think it's a really cool one that you can maybe pick up. Next up, we have the World Ocean Dragon, the big boy Link 4 monster that is just really good. I know I'm saying really good about everything, but that's the point of this video, just good cards. And this particular card is just mostly here because it's require one effect monster. It's basically just you taking a Link 4 and you just making it, because that's the entire point, and then it can just banish everything on the field and then bring it back. Now, this is really good for cards that have some weird restrictions of this cannot be used for a Link Summon the turn it was Link Summon, for example. You can banish all of them, bring them back, they don't count as Link Summon anymore, or some of their restrictions will not be anymore, or even if their effects were negated, they will be summoned back with effect not negated. You summon them back in either attack position, face up defense position, or face down defense position, which is, for example, good for Ninja, and then basically you get your entire field back, while also just getting maybe some of the effects that you weren't able to resolve before. It's a very interesting card for some particular combos, and I definitely think it's just a good card to consider picking up. It's not like an insane card, but it's definitely allowing some particular combos or plays to be achieved due to this particular effect, and I definitely very much like this card. Next up, we have an archetypal card, which is Lady of the Labyrinth. This particular card is just insane for back row decks. It's just giving you protection, or should I say, it's protected when you control a set card. It's basically able, special summon itself if a normal trap card effect for, any back row deck was activated this turn. You special summon it. And then when a normal trap card is activated, also on top of it, you're able to set a normal trap card with a different name directly from your deck. So backrow decks love this card. It's just giving them a little bit of more additional support, just like Lord of Heavenly Prison. So it's just giving them, the additional really, really good particular boss monster that just able to just back them up. So I really think this card is just going to find a lot of plays. I also seen this card being played in things like Trickstars, Lair of Darkness, and things of that nature that don't even have any synergies with Labyrinth, just because it's just a great back row supporter card, or back row decks supporter card. And the second card I want to talk about, which is also an archetypal card, is Fenrir. This particular lovely card, which I have a love and hate relationship with. This particular card is just absolutely stupid because it's basically part of the Kasteria archetype that all of their, initial support cards right now can special summon themselves out of the hand if you control the monsters. On top of that, they're able to basically just do, search, and they're not limited to search themselves. So Fenrir can search another copy of itself to your hand. So that means you can play 3 Fenrirs in your deck, potentially most people play 2, and essentially use him to just add another copy of himself and not bother playing with the other cards. On top of that, one on this particular thing is that when this card declare an attack, or if the opponent activate a monster effect, you're able to target one face-up card your opponent controls and banish it face down. Yay, you got yourself an interruption that is basically just in a card that you can just freely special summon if you haven't used your you haven't normal summoned anything yet. This card is just so dumb. I love this card, but I also hate it because it's just going to be played in almost any deck imaginable that can actually take advantage of this card. Maybe use it for rank 7s, or just in general be any weird interruption. Probably if they want to hit this deck in the future, this is probably the first card you want to hit. But regardless, as a card, this card is excellent, and I should probably just say to you that, yes, it's just a good card to pick up. I don't know why I wanted to go with this at the end of it, but yeah. Next up, 2 Xyz monsters. We have 2 of them. 2 of non-archetypal Xyz monsters, which is the Will of the Doom Originator Vassal Dragon, and the rank 9 one that I'm not even going to try to pronounce. Basically, these 2 are excellent for their own particular reasons. The rank 6 is just a really, really good card. It's either a quick play DD Crow, if you detach 1 material, and also if you detach 2 materials, you're able to either steal the monster from the opponent's graveyard, or you're able to kind of set the card to your side of the field. So this card is just an amazing card that becomes you can target a card in your opponent's graveyard, shuffle it back into the deck, or just steal it to yourself. Also just getting more powerful with 100 additional attack for each card in your opponent's graveyard. It's just it's just really, really good of a card. I think it's just a very, very underappreciated card in my opinion. The other one, which is the rank 9, is just a good Ultimate Slayer target, or the Dogmatic Punishment, or Dear Servant. That's kind of their entire purpose in my opinion. It does have its own nice effect maybe for things like generators, but mostly for the part of that, it just uses a nice, I guess, a negate effect when you send it from the exo deck to the graveyard, or when it's sent to the graveyard in general. So I think it's just a nice card that you can play maybe as additional more copies in your extra deck for additional kind of interactions for your Nadir Servant and Dogmatic Punishments and things of that nature. So yeah, that's for that. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is actually the Pendulum Archetype Dreku Slayer support power-up. This particular engine, in my opinion, yes, I'm counting it as an engine because it's only 4 cards, is honestly, I think, going to alleviate some of the, Pendulum decks into a more of a higher rate, especially right now that we lost some of the particular cards. Hagi Firebex wasn't, a core card in Pendulums, but it was really, really useful for your artifact Scythe locks, and it just, also made things a little bit more easier. Now we have the Draco Slayer engine, which comes out and kind of like saves the day, because you do have, you know, a field spell searcher there, you have like, you know, free special summons and things of that nature, and it's giving you the ability to use the Draco Slayer engine, which is actually a very, very good extra deck monsters and things of that that you're able to actually use. So this, in my opinion, will power up Pendulum Magicians and Odd Eyes for the most part. There are some particular other strategies that maybe can able to use these, but these are the two Pendulum strategies that I see, like, for the most part using this, and it's just going to help them quite a bit. Now, for the trap that we got as an exclusive, Destructive Daruma Cannon, Karma Cannon. Basically, this particular card is just wide, just flip everything for face down, like Wide Book of Moon trap. That just flip everything face down, and on top of that, it's also a Link Monsters hater, because if either player control a face-up monster after you do this, you send all face-up monsters they control to the graveyard. So yeah, Link Monsters cannot turn into face-down defense position, so it's basically sending them to the graveyard. It's just a great card, just as a nice, maybe, card to pick up. I don't think it's like the best trap in the world, but it's definitely just a nice, maybe, trap to put in your baseline trap decks, just giving you additional more options and things that you might be able to do. Next card is actually going to be a card that I don't really see a whole lot of people talk about, and that is the Vandalizer Fairy of Seedling and Haze, which is the duck, I think, of the Vandalizer Fairies, like, you know, duck in the art. This particular card is just another power-up for Earth Machine, because it does everything that Vandalizer Fairies do. But this particular card search for you when it's sent to the graveyard, like, you know, after you use the effect, to search an Earth Fairy from your deck to your hand. So it's giving you the ability to kind of like have another more consistency layer with your actual Fairy of Heals, or whatever her name is, which search any Vandalizer Fairy card. This one search any Earth Fairy. So it's giving you another kind of like a consistency card for this particular engine, and just going to power up Earth Machine a little bit even further. Then we have a card that I think is just okay now, but is going to become a lot better in future. Like, it is not build up for specific strategy, but it is a specific, like, enough card with its effect that is actually good for the future Dark World structure deck. Because News Reporter from the Underworld, or I forgot what her new name is basically just a really good card that revive fiends and also discard cards out of your hand, which is an excellent card to just trigger your Dark World effect, and just a fiend nice support card, very easy to summon as well, and it's just a good card. So yeah, I think this card is just a nice worth up, maybe sometimes to pick up. If you see it in, like, in a low price and you are interested in Dark Worlds, definitely consider picking it up, and just in general good for fiends. But I don't really see it anywhere else beside, you know, Dark Worlds, or though I maybe could be wrong. Maybe you can actually see it play something like, you know, maybe, I don't know, Fiend's decks, just as a nice generic cards you can put in the extra deck. Then we have the two cards that I'm actually going to put them together, the kind of like power up slash power down slash related to the barrier cards, which are Spellbound and Simult Archfiends. These two particular cards are kind of like the barriers in their own way, but not really. Spellbound, in my opinion, is okay. I don't think it's a terrible card, but I don't think it's like absolutely insane card. I think it's just decent. It's not like ridiculously good, it's not ridiculously bad. It's just more of like in the middle for me, that it's kind of like, it's kind of not really the format for it, but it can definitely be very, very good in some certain matchups or certain situations. Especially maybe against things like Gothi, that, well, trying to synchro summon during your opponent's turn, just as an example, and then you can just, oh hey, activate this, you cannot synchro summon. So you see what I mean there. It's just like really good against these particular decks that have gimmicks during your turn. As for Simult Archfiends, it's just another kind of like a weird weak D barrier that kind of like really good in mirror matches, because if you are playing like Despia against Despia and you only based on fusions, your opponent are just locked out of their fusions as long as you control, you know, a fusion monster. So yeah, it's just a decent card. It's not insane, but it's decent in my opinion. And then the last two cards I'm going to talk about, the first one is actually a really quick one, is Lutkalos. Lutkaros, you know, the tier elements new fusion monster, just a nice power up for tier elements in general, or maybe there are some particular, you know, tier elements builds that are able to use this card. And the other one after that, if we already talked about Gothi, I'm going to talk about Serpent of the Gothi, because this particular card is just really, really good. It's just able to work with fish monsters in general. It's generic. It's able to banish a fish monster level 6 or lower from your deck, which can, of course, banish the Gothi tuners to then trigger them during the opponent's turn. And just in general, if it's sent to the graveyard as a material, it's able to banish itself or any fish and then search a fish with the same level or lower. In some particular decks, maybe you can just like play this and like, you know, I don't know, Mermail Atlanteans maybe build that maybe going to incorporate a little bit of fish. I don't know how that's going to work, but the point is it's just going to give you a little bit of a tool that may be able to just recover you up for a next turn. Also, just in general, having the ability to maybe have an easy access to the Gothi of the Deep Beyond or the level 8 one that banish itself and banish an opponent card is actually could be really nice for some particular decks. So I do think that Serpent is decent. I don't think it's like a must-off card to pick up, but I do think it's actually just a very, very nice card. And there you have it. These are the cards that I think are very interesting, or, you know, archetypes and everything that you should consider picking up. Of course, you don't have to pick all of these. Just pick the one that suits you better for your playstyle, what you're able to go with. But I do think some of these cards are just a little bit of hidden gems and people don't really think about them. And I think they're just great cards in general. But that's pretty much does it for me. Does it for the video. Hope you enjoyed. Hope you maybe learned something new and maybe just thought about some particular cards and you're actually saying, these can actually be really, really good for me. Although, probably it's just a really, really helpful video to just let you know. But yeah, see you in the next one. Just wanted to try this as an overall thing. Let me know feedback in the comments down below. What do you think about this style? If you want me to change it or do some particular things differently. With that out of the way, I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.